Thank you, Travis. Last but not least, we have Jenny Johnson. Jenny Johnson is the author of In Full Velvet, published by Sarabande Books in 2017, you have on the back table over there. Her honors include a 2015 Writing Award and a 2016-17 Hodder Fellowship at Princeton University. She has also received awards and scholarships from the Blue Mountain Center, Loaf Writers Conference, Virginia Center for the Creative Arts, and Yaddo. Her poems have appeared in the New York Times, New England Review, Troubling the Line, Trans and Genderqueer Poetry and Poetics, and elsewhere.
So happy to be here. I'm gonna just jump in with a poem that takes place in a dive bar in outer space. A dive bar in outer space. So I need you to just go with me there. The music in the background might help. In the dream, I was alone in a dyke bar we'd traversed before. Or maybe, in a way, it was all our dives merging together suddenly as one intergalactic composite, one glitter-spritzed black hole, one Q-stick burnished down to a soft blue nub. Picture an open cluster of stars managing to forever stabilize in space without a landlord scheming to shut the place down. Anyways, I was searching for someone there whom we hadn't seen in years. In what could have been sisters, babes, the Lex, the pint, the Palms, or the E-room, but the room had no end and no ceiling. Though I could see all of our friends or exes with elbows up or fingers interlocked on tabletops, zinging with boomerangs. Maybe the tables were spinning too, I can't be sure. But just as a trap that trips before hammering a mouse is not humane, the dream changed, or the alarm that I carry in my breast pocket in my waking life was sounding. Because in the dream, 3 people on bar stools who were straight or closeted, but more importantly, angry, turned, and the room dwindled like a sweater full of moths eating holes through wool. Or they were humans, sure, but not here to love. With jawlines set to throw epithets like darts that might stick or nick or flutter past as erratically as they were fired, you could say their hostility was a swirl, nebulous as gas and dust, diffuse as the stress a body meticulously stores, like how when I was shoved in grade school on the blacktop in my boy jeans, the teacher asked me if I had a strawberry. Because the wound was fresh as jam, glistening like pulp does after the skin of a fruit is peeled back clean with a knife. I was in the dream, as open to the elements. Yet I fired back, and I didn't care who eyed me like warped metal to be pounded square. I said, "Do you realize where you are?" And with one finger, I called our family forth, and out of the strobe lights, they came. I'm so happy. Well, I already said I was happy to be here, but what you don't know is that I had a flight that canceled earlier today, and so I wasn't sure I was going to be here, and so it's extra special to have made it. What beautiful poems, what powerful poems. Thank you, Travis and Shengang. And also thank you to Malvern Books and to Carrie for helping to set this up. I have a few more poems. So I asked you to go to a dyke bar with me, and now if you, another space, one that involves having a tail, if you could, or any other, or just any other body that you've been thinking about, or a part of the body that you want to imagine in place of a tail. Tail. I picture the shameful length of it poking along behind me as I walked down Fifth Avenue, the odd sheen of it shimmering in shop windows. How after too many beers I'd lumber back into bed, its strangeness between my legs. But as the sun rises, the clean stretch, aesthetic vertebrae, how I might flex its elegant, careful weight, consider my newfound balance, how gracefully I ascend a flight of stairs, teetering on one leg, my rump poised just so. Or how I might signal to my lover, wave fondly to her through the air, lift my fur to tickle her mouth, dash a small crumb off her lips, in an alley, flashing my snowy underside like a switchblade, we'd sprint through underbrush. Had I a tail, I would be luminous and lingering as a comet who traces the starry night with a broken ellipses. As a kid, I remember the small green bubble inside the carpenter's level, how it would dart from corner to corner, and how good it felt to straddle the sawhorse out behind the shed, half tomboy, half centaur. How I clenched a 2x4 between my thigh bones, and it was part of me. A nest of yellow jackets rose from beneath the splinters, and forgetting how to move, how to cry, how to run, I let them sting and sting and sting 11 times, leaving swells on my arms, neck, feet, and shoulders. O Lord of parts, O holy tool shed, when I rise from these sore bones, look what you've taken, what you've left me. This next poem is called Little Apophat, and I made up the word apophat, but it's a play on the apophatic, that's what I was playing with, which describes something that's obtained through negation. So this poem is kind of an invocation of absence, and it's also about an ex. I'll just put that in there, because it comes up. Little Apophat. Your child is a little lion cub, ready to tear into a hunk of antelope, is a fuse bursting into electric sprays of light, is trouble, you say, like me, has your eyes, though, pale as the eggs of quail. Yes, and also shouting no as I reach for her balled fist, I wonder if she is our negative capability. Dare I say she's beautiful, or that seeing another photo, I feel inexplicably like a father, though I am nothing other than an ex-girlfriend falling in and out of touch. I like to study not her features exactly, but all her small, perfect shadows. Her sleeves like swallow's wings, the oblong rings she casts moving down a slide, some latent echo inside you, now there of me, some remnant of the night we longed to against the drum of a water tower, but did it instead, again and again, on a bed too small for one. Would it stretch wonder if all our immaterial actions could sire the ambition that ignites when we let a child sit too long with her own design, let her stack blocks one cube at a time, sturdy as a well-pointed chimney or a giraffe's dorsal spine, or a tower of solid cheerleaders kneeling into sweaty backs and thighs until the pyramids gotten too high and without warning, all the bodies tumble down, laughing. Little nothing. Dare I tell you what your mother and I made? Firsts and fights that left the kitchen whitened by a fine silt of flour, and bras twisted into the untidy nests of lyrebirds, and closety love at the drunken end of straight parties in cemeteries and in shower stalls. Without sheet music, we were prodigious, learning by ear and mouth how to produce each vocal score. And when we were done and we felt like making more, we made it. And we made sweet, fast nothings with other people too. Little Apophat, I could tell you stories of scientific miracles, late ovulation in garter snakes, the courting rituals of macaques playing hide and seek behind tree trunks, how when seals stay out to sea months after mating, biologists call all that waiting suspended animation, which is to say that making you took time. How are y'all doing? Pretty good? I have two more. One's shorter, one's longer. This next one's called Gay Marriage Poem. It's one of the last poems I wrote when I was working on the book. I just decided that was the title, but I didn't really know what the poem was going to actually be about, so you'll see. I felt like I had something to say, but I wasn't sure what. But one thing you should know is I used to have an animal rights t-shirt that I really liked that said, "Support your right to arm bears." I just thought it was funny, and I mention it, and if you're like, wait, what? I don't know. The t-shirt comes up. Gay marriage poem. We could promise to elope like my grandmother did if a football team won on homecoming night. We could be good queers, an oxymoron we never longed for. We could become wed-locked, as the suffix was once intended, lyco, common Teutonic for play, not lock, Old English for a cave, an enclosure. Instead of a suit, I could wear my t-shirt that avows, "Support your right to arm bears." Or we could wed in bear suits, just as I saw people do one summer in San Francisco, standing amid a grassy median during rush hour. They were so personally, anonymously political, blocking the ocean breeze in acrylic fur. Forget such solemnities. I want to run through streets shouting up to all my beloved's windows. Friends, in sickness and in health, I refuse to forsake you. On Charlotte Street, Home, Euclid, Decatur, Union, Straub's, Rebecca, Bennett Ave, 38th, we'll slay our way. In the only wedding I was a part of, I was the flower girl who held up the ceremony, kneeling to drop equal dividends of petals beside every pew, refusing to leave anyone out. Let us speak without occasion of relations of our choosing, tied intricately as the warps and wefts amid mats of moss. Without competing for sunlight, our hairy caps are forever lodging in spaces that myopic travelers can't see. Of such loves unwrit at the boundary layer between earth and air, I feel most clear. In that poem, there's this little thing about moss at the end, and tomorrow night and the next night, my friend Paul Cruz and I, we wrote a play called Boundary Layer, and that actually involves a love story between a human and moss on another planet. I think it's happening at the Lab Theater. I just thought of it as, so if you're around and you're curious what that might be, it should be fun. It's just it's a stage reading of it. So, but my last poem is called Dappled Things. It's the first poem in the book. And it's a sequence, and so I'm gonna mention, I'm gonna keep addressing just a couple times hop, and when I say hop or gentle hop, I'm talking back to Gerard Manley Hopkins, who I read that that was his nickname by his Jesuit peers, was Gentle Hop. So I didn't just nickname Hopkins, and I was thinking about his poem Pied Beauty throughout this, and what that might look like. In a different moment in time. And also at the end of the poem, I mention the gastric brooding frog, which, and so you'll kind of know that the poem is kind of coming to an end when there's a frog that appears. And what you need to know is that the female gastric brooding frog could transform her stomach into a womb. So a mother would swallow her own eggs, and then after several weeks of metamorphosis, she would birth fully formed froglets out of her mouth. So naturally, I was working on this long poem, and I didn't know where it was going to go. And I just kept thinking, it's going to have to be like, "Wah," at the end. So, sorry to spoil it. Maybe it'll still have some resonance, but the gastric brooding frog is in here too. Dappled things. Thank you, day, for dappled things. For ambrosia beetles streaking skylines inside a maple. For pansies speckled as a painter's sleeve. For russet-crusted sidewalks of lichen, airy springs of fiery structured fringe. For pink corpuscles making midges soon to burst out the undersides of leaves. Thank you for all that's still somehow counter, original, spare, and strange. For the brightening swell of a honeybee's sting. For the alien markings on my girlfriend's cheek and how they form a perfect triangle. Thank you for the risen stars on the skin of an apple, which I slice into fine, thin crescents, for dapple is a word derived from apple, and apple once meant any fruit at all. Born from a tree, lemon, fig, persimmon, thank you, road apple, finger apple, earth apple, for all that apple was before apple acquired a stigma for being forbidden, marked, dappled, shadowed, grappling, stamped, juice-controlled, smudging of what twinkles unthinkably. And because I'm minging this morning to gay old music, thanks, gentle hop, for thisness, for teaching attention, how to mark hard word bodies with stress, acute glyphs, blue scores, for reckoning the risks and disciplines rod between sheets of loose-leafed linen. You knew few might hear your coded address. Do I look hard enough to receive? I'm not moved by God, but I am moved by this, to experience the largesse. What you look hard at seems to look hard at you. Oh, to be marked reciprocally. Yes, please, across, above, below, and with. I kiss my hand to male bonobos making out in public. In spite of Western science, trying to explain away the glorious kink of spinner dolphins, whistle clicks, over-under rolling, belly on belly, clasping by the soft tips of flukes, riding dorsal rudders to the brink, I am inspired, call my girlfriend, say, won't you be my Olympic marmot? Chewing on my ear till I lift my tail. My black-billed magpie babbles singing to my begging call. My lioness growl, thrust, roll on backs afterward. Squeaky as killer whales. We could keep contact relentless before the next sequence of diving deep in a reversed roll, double helix formation, splashing swagger to reveal the length of our pink organs. Or we could be lady elephants, heading down to the watering hole, gearing up to gather friends in the yard for a yip purr chorus, hammerhead stork pile up, or love. We could pretend to be utter strangers. I, a house sparrow, and you, a cowbird, hopping over to chatter until you touch your lower bill, head bowed to my breast feathers. Our days are charged by so much nature. The succulents we carry to Alexis in a plastic bag after her surgery, a cat pawing at a mantis behind a window pane, what we didn't wash from the lettuce, dirt that's good danger, not pristine, not a baseline to hearken after romantically. Instead, I read that snowy cities should ready for rising heat, harder rain. Have I come to terms with dominance, what I have trammeled and fogged with my breath? Flush cut, a redesigned ecology. The dead won't say how the forest was before we came, and the pheromones I bury my face in under your arms make me a hazy archaeologist. I must speak of erasure when I long to be leaf-whelmed, lit by fire pinks and wild sweet, in a realm where we can always see. never see. From an aerial view, here's my bright address, refracting, scrambling, shutting out the dark. Oh, day in the Anthropocene when I go to pull up buttercups bare-fingered so I can better reach the runners, thin-rooted trams tunneling invasively. Where's hope? Hope's a weed, obscene on my head, springing white hairs. Like an extinct frog who brought life by opening her mouth, many froglets bursting out. I brood, a quiet storm at the water's edge, a bloated cloud, all the row I've swallowed whole. I brood and brood, feeling old Hop in his final state, crying out, I am gall, I am heartburn, until I feel a blaze unknown, feel first my lungs deflate, then like a sharpening harp, the stomach acids start to transform. I'm breathing through my skin as an army grows in full. Will all things return if I so choose to burp in nameless forms? Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Really glad you could make it. Literally made it like just in time. So it's a twist of fate. Please give it up for the writers again. They did a really good job. Very glad for coming and reading. And thank all of you to coming in. Thank all of you for coming as well. I know most of us don't need an excuse to come to a bookstore, but this is a really great event, and it's always nice when we get a chance to bring everyone together like this. Please feel free to eat snacks again. Please feel free to buy books, and feel free to come back. We have a bunch more great events this month. Tomorrow is our ice cream social, which features women identified writers and has ice cream, which is a great combination. So I highly encourage you to come out. And on Saturday, my coworker Julie is hosting the first meeting of Line Break, our new poetry book club, which should be pretty cool. I'm really glad that's happening. We're currently sold out of the book that we're doing now, which is Jomo by Anna Berdicevic, which is really good. But I mean, feel free to come by anyway. The poems are pretty short, so even if you haven't read the book, I'm sure there'll be copies you can borrow and get acquainted, we can discuss. So yeah, I think it'll be really cool. We have handouts of all our events over by the register. We have a calendar on the website, so yeah, check it out. And thanks again.